This is going to be a video on resisted isometric muscle testing of the wrist and hand. Hi and welcome back to PhysioTutors. After completing active and passive range of motion assessment, you're going to continue with resisted isometric muscle testing. During resisted isometric muscle testing of the wrist and hand, you're also going to evaluate the movements of pronation and supination, which we covered in our video of the elbow joint. For resisted isometric testing of the wrist and hand, you can have your patient sit on a stool with the forearm resting on the bench. To assess extension, fixate the distal forearm and apply resistance on the dorsum of the hand. And for flexion, do the opposite. For radial and medial deviation, the patient may make a fist. With one hand, fixate the distal forearm and then apply resistance for radial deviation and ulnar deviation. A really functional way to conduct resisted isometric testing for finger flexion is to ask your patient to give you a firm handshake. If you want to get information on individual joints, you can go ahead and give resistance to those. To assess extension, have your patient's hand lie flat on the bench. Put your hand on the patient's fingers, fixate with the other, and then ask your patient to lift up your hand while you apply resistance to the fingers. For resisted isometric testing of finger A deduction and finger A abduction, you can simply intertwine your fingers with those of the patient, and then for A deduction, ask your patient to squeeze the fingers, and for A abduction, to spread them. For thumb abduction, A deduction, thumb extension and flexion, fixate the hand with one hand, grasp the thumb with the other, and then for thumb abduction, ask your patient to move in that direction while you give resistance, and in the opposite direction for A deduction. For thumb extension, ask the patient to move the finger up, and the opposite direction for thumb flexion. Okay, this was our video on resisted isometric testing of the wrist and hand. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, be sure to leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more videos and check out our video on passive range of motion assessment of the wrist and hand, and especially the video on joint play assessment, which is the consequent step to resisted isometric testing right there. This was Andreas for PhysioTutors. I'll see you next time. Bye.